should we head on over to the Maester's study?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Aemma Arryn, I thought we would just kind of you go from Viserys. We recently covered Viserys Targaryen, and basically we did like his early reign and went all the way to his late reign and his death. He is the king who will kind of gets the ball rolling. I think they're going to start off focused on him in the series, and his wife is Aemma Arryn, who is actually his cousin. I think they're married in, it's like 93. Yeah. So in 93 AC, she marries her cousin, Prince Viserys Targaryen. Both of them are grandchildren of the old king. So I thought that was interesting, right? That she's actually got a lot of target through, I think it's Baelor's daughter. She's closely related. They're cousins. So she's got the strong ties to House Targaryen. And that was something else during the old king's reign. You had more Targaryens, and they're trying to make those alliances with other houses just marriage alliances. So, because there was a lot more of them. There's this big spike, and then we're going to have a Dance of Dragons in which we will whittle a lot of them out. And then even after that, we're going to get some Targaryen, another, civil war, if you will, and bastards fighting, and they just eat themselves alive. It's kind of crazy, but like the Targaryens could have been so much more, but there's just all this infighting and things that happen that caused that to not move forward. So, but yeah, she is Aemma Arryn is Viserys' first wife. Alicent Hightower is his second. We'll talk about her later, and her arc that's one that's going to carry us through the entire series, actually, probably most likely. So Aemma is the mother of Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen. And Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen is going to be that's the big focus for this series. It's going to be Alicent Hightower versus Rhaenyra. So you have the second wife of Viserys versus Viserys' first daughter, right? And so Aemma is just, she's there beforehand, and she dies in childbirth. I mean, she tries numerous times to have, she has several miscarriages. She then does have a child that will die and is mocked, actually, by Daemon Targaryen, who is being played by Matt Smith. So, it's just that's kind of crazy to think about him being that character when you think of all the cruel, crazy things that he does,
I know. When I think of Matt Smith, the first thing I think of is Doctor Who, where he's obviously like a good guy, like ultra good guy, right?
Yeah.
And then to think of him, like I haven't seen him in The Crown. I think he's in, so I don't know if he's, but I feel like he could be a great. Yeah, I guess it depends how much side you're on. Villain, sort of. I mean, Daemon Targaryen is kind of ruthless. He's kind of a ruthless guy, but so, some people root for him and some people, don't like him. So they're going to be split. They're going to be kind of split on him. So it's going to be really interesting to see him, in that role.
Yeah, and actually it really will be. Quick correction, Jaehaerys. I'm sorry, I said Baelor. Jaehaerys the first Targaryen, the old king. But that is who Aemma is, his granddaughter as well, and Viserys is his grandson, and so they marry. My question, I guess, for Sir Matt is: do you think we're gonna do we pick up with Rhaenyra already born, and do we see someone just for one episode or something playing an Aemma Arryn who is going to be married to Viserys? I guess the bigger question is, when do you start with Viserys' life? Do we see a younger Viserys, and then later on, we'll see him growing up, get married, have a child, and then take the throne? That's going to be interesting to see how, because wherever they start, you can jump forward in time a little bit, but I kind of think they want to pace it out and really make it more compact instead of doing these big time jumps. But the place where you could do that is at the beginning of this season. Show us a bit of the old king, and then show us the 101 Council. We kind of have to understand that. We have to understand why Rhaenyra it's such a big deal that everyone swears allegiance to her, and why it's ironic that Viserys will not rename the heir once he has sons with Alicent Hightower. So I don't know. I mean, Aemma's legacy is that her daughter is going to be a major ruler, and then Rhaenyra's son is ultimately going to continue the Targaryen reign.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to tell because just right now we don't know where they're starting, and we only have casting of major characters. So we do have Rhaenyra cast as well. It's this actress Aemma Arryn, I think it's like D''Arcy, so it's looks like Darcy, but it's got an apostrophe in it.
Yeah.
And man, she has been in about nothing. I mean, she's like a real unknown. I mean, she's I think maybe more of a theater actress. She's in some show called Truth Seekers, and she was in a show called Wanderlust, which I'm unfamiliar with. But that's about it. Yeah. So, I mean, she looks like she's in her. I'm sure I can pull up her actual age here, but she looks like she's in maybe like her, I'd say mid-20s at the most. She looks, pretty young here. So, yeah. I think they're going to be. I don't know that we're going to see them growing up and stuff. I think maybe. I don't even know that we'll see Aemma Targaryen.
Yeah. See, I kind of think we're going to. I think we're going to see just a little bit of
like
this
a flashback or something. Or?
Yeah, because, and this is just predictions, and everyone has their opinion, their thoughts on this. I'd love to hear people's thoughts and comments on where we're going to start. Because to me, you have to know something about this, the way in which an heir is chosen. It's all about who is next in line and who is going to take the throne. So I don't see, for an audience that's coming into this and looking at it and going, so, okay, Rhaenyra's up. What's the beef? Why is there an issue? Well, before Viserys, there was this king. There was all this issue with his sons dying. Then we went to his grandsons and his granddaughters. And basically it was determined that even though he had older granddaughters who maybe would have been in line to take the throne, we decided to go with the grandson because we're choosing men over women. And that was the way in which it was going to work. So I think we have to understand some of that and get some of that context. So I don't know if you do it in a flashback or if you show that and then you talk about, or if the character Viserys himself talks about it just with Alicent Hightower. Maybe it starts off with the death of his wife and it's all of them trying to convince Viserys that he needs a new wife. I mean, it could be that Aemma Arryn has died in childbirth and you hear them talking about it on the small council, and Otto Hightower is saying, hey, you need to go get another wife, and next thing you know, Viserys is, here's Alicent Hightower, and she can provide you with sons. So that might be a way, but we have to understand why this is such an issue is my thing. And so whether we see Aemma Arryn, we see it earlier, and then we see her die, and then we see Alicent step in, or if they, go back and start the whole thing off in some sort of prologue where, we know that there's a date and then you flash forward to a later date. I don't know. I mean, it's just that I think is going to be interesting. And I could be completely, it might start off and I don't know why you would cast Viserys, right? And then just show his death, right? I mean, but that's the kickoff to all of this, which is
right. So Viserys dies in 129. Alicent and Viserys are married in 106. Now, Rhaenyra at that time would be about 9. So if you go about, you go about 10 years later, that means she'd be 19, which looks maybe like roughly the age of this actress. So maybe it's going to be somewhat similar to Game of Thrones, and that take away the idea that the whole series starts with Game of Thrones and just think about what we know, as one big thing. Well, where the main series starts is Jon Arryn has just died, and now Robert Baratheon and Ned Stark are about to die in the first book / first season. And so that's the beginning of our story. And then it's going to go there. So I think I think it's pretty obvious where this is going to end, which is probably going to be Rhaenyra's and Daemon's death, right? And then Aegon there ultimately ends up Aegon the Third ultimately ends up becoming king after the whole Dance of the Dragons ends. So yeah, I think the bigger question is where is it gonna begin?
Yeah,
And
well,
I think it's gonna be closer to I think Viserys might only now that we have the casting of those guys and I think it's gonna be a little bit closer to his death. I think maybe he's one season.
yeah. I think he's one season too for sure. I think there will be a younger version of him, or even a younger version of Rhaenyra. I think you could use the same actor for Viserys, make him younger, but then I think you could show us a younger Rhaenyra, and then we just know that moving forward, you're focused on, if you have two Rhaenyras in the same season, we see a younger one who is at court meeting Alicent, and then
unless they just tell us
moves
that
on from there.
because I mean a lot in Game of Thrones. In Game of Thrones, I think how many flashbacks really are there? I mean, until Bran starts seeing visions of the past, the only flashback that I can think of, maybe there's more, but just off the top of my head, is Cersei and Maggie the Frog. That's the only one I can think of that's like an actual, like, here's what happened in the past.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, in the series, the way George writes it is that there are. Like, ironically, even though you're talking about the HBO show, in the book series, there are a lot of flashbacks. There's a ton of them. I mean, there's tons of people adding context to the tourney at Harrenhal, and you hear the characters talk about those things and reference it. So it very much could be that they just talk about the Council of 101 AC, and we're supposed to kind of understand that that's like, okay, what happened there? I mean, that is something that's an angle that you could approach the series from, because I'm thinking like House Valerion is majorly screwed from the Council of 101 AC. So how do you show that Corlys is pissed and that Daemon is upset? And when does he get upset? I mean, there's actually a lot of stuff between 101 and Aemma's death, and then him picking Alicent Hightower. A lot of things that you could blow up and exaggerate and make bigger and really, really talk about. I mean, I think when we go to Daemon, actually, when we go to Daemon Targaryen, and if we're focused on him, his whole life is crazy. He's backing his brother. He's ready to go to war for Viserys to back him up. And then once he gets in there, he's walking around. He knows that his brother doesn't have a son yet, and Rhaenyra's there. But okay, fine, we'll deal with Rhaenyra later. He wants to be next up. He wants to be close to power. So that whole Rogue Prince story arc starts a little bit sooner.
Right. So 120, which is 9 years before he dies, right? Did I just say that right? 129. You start there. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm getting all mixed up in my time. But 120 is Rhaenyra and Daemon welcome the birth of their son Aegon, so who becomes Aegon the Third.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So
are Rhaenyra and Daemon together
in the season one?
In season one.
Yeah. Again, it's all really really interesting. See, because that's what I'm saying. There's so much story to be told before you ever get to a point where Viserys dies. What would you say, 129 AC or something? So yeah, when that happens, I mean, that's 28 years later after the Great Council, and you have that actor. I think he could be kind of like, and I think you said this, which is like an Eddard Stark who is there for the whole first season, and we get to know Viserys, and he's this good, jovial, really easygoing king. We like him. Rhaenyra's cool. She's awesome. His brother's a little strange. We don't like his brother. And it turns out then that once he dies, all of a sudden people are plotting against like this girl who we love, this little Rhaenyra. And then Daemon, who we didn't like in season one, now comes back at season 2, and he's this guy who we're like, yes, take care of Rhaenyra, like let's go and move that story forward. I don't know. I'm thinking of the ebbs and flows of the series.
We do also have Olivia Cook. That was the other announcement, is going to be playing Alicent Hightower. And man, to be honest, I mean, wow, I'm just looking at this picture they got of her here. And then there's the picture from Fire and Blood where she's sitting next to Rhaenyra, and my God, it looks just like her.
Yeah, it looks just like her.
I mean, it looks literally just like her.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll we'll definitely see as that goes forward. So it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be interesting. I'm super excited for this show, and I'm glad we're starting to get some news on it, because now we can really start speculating. Because again, I think we know how it's gonna end. We just where does it begin, and then we can kind of start to piece out what do we think we're going to see around what season, and we can kind of piece the seasons together, which is going to be cool.
Yeah, and so I'd love to hear from folks, whether you want to send us a raven or leave a comment on YouTube. Where do you think this is going to start? Do you think we're going to see Aemma Arryn? Like, do you think we're actually going to see Rhaenyra's mother? And is that going to help us then understand what it's like for her to have the evil stepmother show up? You know what I mean? Sorry, Disney.
No, it's okay. That's okay. Hey, some people some people might, some people are on other side. So yeah, it's gonna get I do think it's gonna end with like the first season will end with like, okay, now the Dance of the Dragons has probably started. So what is that?